Hey guys, what's happening? It's Dean from Electronisounds. You may remember in my 500 subscriber YouTube celebration, I made a free sample pack for our Beatmaker 3 called Saffron, and it contained 5 inspiration kits. Well, I just haven't been able to get inspiration kit number 5 out of my mind. Every time I hear it, either in a video or when I'm loading stuff up on Beatmaker 3, it just really sticks with me. I'm going to refresh your memory with which one I'm talking about here. It sounds like this. Okay. And I really wanted to flesh this out in an environment that I can go all out with. So what I did is I recreated the groove here inside of Ableton Live on my big desktop system. And check out what this sounds like. So what I'm going to attempt to do is I'm going to attempt to arrange out this Ableton Live version into a track and take you with me on the journey. So buckle up for some Ableton Live shenanigans. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, hey Dean, we all finish tracks all the time. It's no big deal that you're writing a finished track. The thing is, guys, is that I haven't really been writing a lot of finished tracks since my tinnitus set in really bad a couple years ago. So this is kind of a big deal for me. Between about 2015 and 2016, I recorded and released about 126 tracks or something to that effect. And it's been quite a bit slower over the past couple years. So it's in fact, I don't think I've written a complete track like this in close to a year. Thanks for hanging out with me during the journey. Thanks, guys. The first thing I wanted to do is, since the kits in Saffron are built from one-shots from my reflective sample pack, I have access to the original one-shots. So I just, copied down the names of the one-shots and loaded those into Ableton Live. And so my first step was to try to recreate the drum sound here with, some sort of a similar reverb and delay and mix on the drums. I think I did a pretty good job of doing that. Okay, and then same kit over here now. So basically, I just literally took the time and recreated it, sound by sound inside of Ableton Live. So now I can arrange that out in an environment that I can really be limitless with. So the melodics out of Beatmaker 3 are just coming out of these 3 one-shots here, and I've loaded those into Ableton Live. And if we take a look at the MIDI for the pattern inside of Beatmaker 3 here, we open up the piano roll, we can see what those, we'll see if I can zoom in a little bit, we'll see what those, we can see what those MIDI notes look like. And I've literally just taken the time to reprogram. I don't know if you can see that with the brightness, probably not so well there, sorry about that. But anyways, you can see that I've just reprogrammed that in so that my melodics are the same on both sides as well. The thing is, on Ableton, is I'm able to divide up the way that the tracks are put together a little bit differently, and I'm able to group the two. I'm able to group like the 2 lead sounds into one bus and then process those as one individual sound, something that I can't quite do the same way over here on Beatmaker 3. But I think this is really, really just amazing that I've literally got the exact same groove at this point in both stations. And we'll kind of see where this goes. Okay, so I've already found an interesting way to use this creatively. I've loaded a lead inside of Beatmaker 3 that I used in my first remix of Jacob Hack, and it sounds a little bit like this. I've turned on Ableton Link inside of the iPad and Ableton Link inside of my desktop here, and we're synced at 128 beats per minute, and I'm sort of digging what this lead here is doing with the groove. Check it out, guys. Anyways, you get the idea. So I think maybe what I'll do is try to program that sort of a lead inside of Beatmaker 3 here. And how I'm doing that, I'm getting the the repeat by using Beatmaker 3's repeat on a 1/16. Cool stuff. Welcome back. It's a new day. Where we left off yesterday is I was messing around with this synth, and we were recording this into Ableton Live, and I have done that and given it a bit of EQ and a little bit of the delay and reverb in Ableton Live, and it's sounding a little bit like this. So what I'm doing now is basically just creating an 8-bar loop that we will then, arrange out into some sort of a track. So for now that we've got that synth part in there, I'll go ahead and mute that channel, and we'll continue adding, other elements into the mix. I've added a chord stab this morning where I trimmed out some little melodic chords from a loop that I made in Dune 2. There'll be a link in the description to get the sample pack for free where this particular sound comes from. And let's take a listen to what these chord stabs are sounding like over the groove. A lot of delay and reverb on these. So let's see, if I soloed this on their own, you can hear a little bit better. A lot of reverb and delay to fill the spaces between them in the mix. I'm also checking out a new mic for the first time today. Tetro not advertised, but rather, let everybody know that there was a really good deal on a Blue Yeti mic. And so that is currently plugged in directly to the iPad in omnidirectional mode. And so hopefully that's picking up the speakers and my voice, hopefully in a much higher quality than we're used to. So we'll be checking that out for the rest of this video as well. Okay, changing camera angles and mic position again. But I just wanted to show you guys on my website, I've gone ahead and collected all the freebies so far onto one page, and you can get to that via the navigation system at the top. Super easy to get to, and then there's all kinds of freebies you guys can download on this page for Beatmaker 3, and then just some wave samples as well. Let's see here, and this is the This is the Event Horizon sample pack that I just got the chords from. I chopped up a sample from this pack here, which is just 50 loops that I'm giving away for free, that I made using the patches inside of my Event Horizon bank for Dune 2 VST Instrument. Hey, so bear with me, guys, as I test out some of this new setups here. It's going to continue to get a little odd with the sound. One of the things I'm noticing is that with this new Blue Yeti mic, I'm recording a mono signal, whereas with the Zoom mic that I'm used to, I'm recording a very wide stereo signal. I'm going to go behind the mic here, and I've got it set to a cardioid pattern, so it should be recording on this side as well. It sounds like it is. Having difficulty figuring out, how to record with the mic to get good audio, as well as, to get the best sound as possible without getting a feedback loop, without having to wear headphones all the time, because I cannot compose and do not recommend composing on headphones. That's just sort of my personal preference. But what we're going to do now is I've taken, these, what you can see here, these little chops out of a loop from the Event Horizon pack. And what we'll do is we'll do a select of that region there, and we'll hit Control J, I believe, and combine that into the other side of the mic. And we will just highlight this section here, hit Control J, and there we go. Let's combine that into just, one steady piece of audio. So it's just a little bit cleaner to look at as we continue on with the arrangement. Hey guys, this one might be just a tiny little bit disconnected because I'm trying all these new room configurations here and where I'm placing the new Blue Yeti mic. So hopefully by the end of this one, I might have it sussed out a little better, and future videos will sound all that much better for it. So just hang tight, and thanks for your patience, guys. Another thing I do, guys, in all of my Ableton sessions is I keep the same color workflow, and I keep the same track order workflow. So for instance, the first track will always be colored black, and that'll be drums, and then it'll be red stuff, and that'll be basses, and then blue stuff, and that'll be melodic content. And then at the bottom, there'll be the white tracks, which will be effects content and risers and down filters and stuff like that. And I use that in all of my tracks. So when I look over here, it's really easy, to sort of see where my tracks are and keep my layout consistent. I think what we'll do next is on the bassy chords track, which is the one shot called Happy Happy from Reflective. We have this MIDI programmed out here, and I think what might be an interesting way to proceed might be to just load up a virtual instrument and put this MIDI in there and start scrolling through some arpeggiated presets and see if we can't get some melodics to come out of something that might sound really cool. Let's see what we can come up with. Okay guys, I've spent a few minutes and I found something that I think is pretty neat. This is a virtual instrument called Spire, and we're in just one of the factory sound banks. I've copied the MIDI from the bass pattern into, this instrument here. And I've just scrolled through some arpeggiated presets until I found something that I thought sounded pretty neat with what we had going. I've muted all of the melodics that we currently have in the mix, except for the bass. So, like the lead synth is muted, the Jacob synth is muted, and the chord chops are muted. And we're just going to hear this arp with the bass line. So what I'd like to do is just, record that out onto a new track. inside of Ableton. And that's easily done here by just adding a track and telling it to record from that instrument. What we'll do is I'd like to keep the effects as consistent as we can in our track with the other effects that are already in the track. So I'll solo rather so we can get a better example of what I'm talking about. This preset on Spire has quite a bit of built-in delay and reverb. And what we'll do is we will mute those and we'll use the delay and reverb inside of Ableton that we already have going. You can hear there's quite a bit of effects on that, but this synth will let me easily just mute those. I can activate the track that I'd like to record on, and I've assigned it, to record from this instrument. And all I have to do at this point is just hit record in Ableton, and I'll be recording the audio onto that track. I'll usually do a couple of passes all the way through, like if I'm in a looped section, and this is an 8-bar loop, so if I do 2 passes through, I would get 16 bars of audio. Let's see what happens when I click record and start feeding this audio into the new track, guys. See it recording right away for us. Okay, fantastic. Now, the reason that I would do that rather than just to keep this instrument in the mix, I might keep the instrument in the mix depending on, what I'm writing at the time. If I know I'm going to need that a lot later in the mix, per se. But just to keep the CPU down and to keep everything, really consistent in the workflow, we're mostly just working with samples here. Sampled audio used as one-shots in Ableton samplers, and audio as, loops that we're just creating ourselves inside of Ableton. So now, we can just take a look there, and we have, a recorded audio, which I'll go through now and probably chop up a little bit and maybe run a little bit of extra EQ on. Alright, it's another day, guys, and we're starting off with a brand new plugin. This is a plugin from a company called Cable Guys. I got an email from them this morning announcing this plugin. It's called Halftime, and went to their website and checked it out. Turns out I had a free license of it coming because I already have their Time Shaper, their Time Shaper VST plugin. So immediately was pretty, stoked to get this in this track and see what we can do, guys. And it's an audio effect that literally, does what it says. It slows audio down to, halftime or divisions of, like a quarter or an eighth. And I'll show you in just a minute what I'm talking about here. What I've done is I've loaded it onto our drums track, and immediately this is really cool, and we're definitely going to try to get some use out of this for this mix, you guys. So check it out. Here's our drums, right? Our normal drums, and as soon as I just turn this on, we'll get like a slowdown effect on the drums. It's pretty dramatic. And depending on how I set, the timing over here on halftime, I can get it really slow. pretty wild, you guys. Or I can set it to like a 16th note here. Anyways, this is going to be great for just sort of reshaping and resculpting the drum sound for maybe like some breaks or turnarounds in the track. I was kind of liking it set to a quarter note, and I realized that we have a dry-wet, mix here, which really allows us to sculpt how this sounds. So check it out when I, play with the dry-wet here. The effect all the way off. You can add just like say 25% of that effect and just get an interesting thickening effect on the drums. So what I think I'm going to do today, first thing guys, is insert a new audio track, route the output from the drums track to the new audio track, and just fool around with this halftime effects from Cable Guys and record all of that result onto the new track, so that we've got these affected drums that I can now chop up and spread throughout the track, hopefully. I've done quite a bit of recording and playing around with the halftime effect on the drums channel, and I wanted to show you guys what I ended up creating so far. This whole piece here, these little finite chops in the middle here, are all to mimic the bass part, the happy one shot, in this sort of a breakdown. Check this out. So this is sounding pretty cool. Let me solo these halftime drums so you can really hear what we've got here. I did some interesting pitching on these tiny chops. If we zoom way in here, on these tiny chops in the middle, like we've got the first one is pitched up 4, the second one is pitched up 3, and the third one is pitched up 2, and the last one is pitched up 1. And that gives us that sort of bring, sort of a pitch down as they roll to mimic the bass part here. Just a little bit of something, extra to get, just that tiny little bit of, to keep the listener interested. I think they go really well with the bass part here. Basically what I've done so far, guys, is we've got, let me close some of these tracks down. We've got just a little bit of an arrangement here, with a little bit of an intro section and some filter automation on the bass. And then we've got, the drums start coming in and some synths and whatnot. And I'll play this arrangement for you guys in just a minute when I finish, working on this break just a little bit here. Definitely what I would do at this point is I would select all of these little chops and hit Control J and turn them into, one piece of audio that's really simple to look at. At this point, you could even chop this up further if you wanted to refine some, little sections, or to reverse something maybe. Anyways, we'll be back in just a moment, and I will play you the full arrangement that I've got so far, guys. So this just happened. The day kind of got carried away from me there, but I figure when you're in the vibe, you sort of should probably stick with it. So let me explain to you a bit about what I've done here. I've created quite a bit of an arrangement, potentially the finished arrangement, and we'll listen to that in just a moment. But I wanted to show you, basically some of the standout things that that I've added today. And first thing was this morning, I showed you that I was working with that halftime effect, and then we consolidated that sort of into one section. I did quite a bit of automating, turning off and on of effects and whatnot. And let's see here, this is a delay that we're gonna turn up. We're gonna turn up the reverb. We're gonna add a tape stop at the end, and do some frequency EQ work as well. So let me give you an example of what I mean, because there's all sorts of automation all over the mix now. So we can hear like it sort of builds and then collapses. So you might remember me talking about forward momentum in some of the past videos. This is one of the ways that I'll create that. You know, we'll open up some reverb, we'll open up some delay, and then to create that tension, we'll use like a tape stop or effect or something to kind of close that down at the end and create space to launch off at the next downbeat per se. So that's sort of one of the important things today, is that I added a lot of automation. In the intro, we're going to start with like the bass, but the bass has like lots of automation on it. So we're going to filter off the lows. We're going to, have extra reverb, we're going to have extra delay, and those are, the send knobs per se are going to be, automated to be, moving back and forth. And here we have the bass channel. There's 3 lanes of automation on that. And basically, we're just adjusting, the lows, like a filter, like filter out the lows and add some reverb and add some delay in certain parts of the track. All of the white tracks down here at the bottom are all different effects that I've added. So we started out with like 1 riser and like 1 down filter, but now I've added a second riser. I've added a bass drop that I like to use to sort of help pop off like a dramatic transition, where you just get a real low frequency pull. If you can't hear that, put your headphones on. I've added a kick drum through a high pass filter, so we're getting just the transient of it, and we're running that through a bunch of reverb and delay. And I've added a white noise burst impact. These are all sort of different variations of the same type of idea, guys. There's a white noise crash, and basically when we take all of these and we put them together, we end up with a pretty big crash impact kind of a thing. Which again really helps create that tension and the release to get that forward momentum. Can't say it enough. Let's see here. One of the things also that I did today that was pretty cool, guys, is I loaded up the Spire virtual instrument again, and I did some extra melodic work with that. Let me solo that. All this stuff has just been turned into audio, so there aren't any like virtual instruments in the mix. We're really saving on CPU here. And everything's just been turned into just these sections of audio, which also means I can chop stuff up if I want to, really easily. Big reverb melodic synth here. The second half, I mimicked the synth line that I created on Beatmaker 3 using the Jacob Hack synth, and I did a little automation on that as well, so that you'll hear what I mean. I'll solo this one also, so that as like the Jacob Hack synth line starts again, it'll start with the filter closed down, and we'll open that up, and we're layering that with this other melodic of that big synth we just heard, but it's doing the same melodic part as I wrote on the Beatmaker 3 melodic part for the Jacob Hack synth. Check this out. Whoops, I didn't solo the right. Okay, cool. Hear how, again, we're really opening things up and getting the filters to open up. I'm opening up reverbs, I'm opening up delays, but then we close it all down and we're going to launch into, you know, another section at that point, which we'll hear in just 1 second. But I don't want to give too much away, but I think it's probably time that we just let you hear what I've done. So what I'll do, guys, is I'm going to change the audio setup so that we're getting as clean as I can get it, and I'll let you have a listen to a playthrough of what I've, you know, created here. It's about 3.5 minutes right now, maybe just a little bit less. So hang on tight and I'll swap this audio. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you found it interesting coming along with me on a journey from starting something in Beatmaker 3 to getting that inside of Ableton Live, and then a lot of the process that I use, sketching that out into a full track. I had a lot of fun along the way, and, you know, learned some new techniques on how to use Beatmaker with Ableton as well. And we're gonna continue mixing and matching Ableton to Beatmaker 3, guys. So stick around for more Beatmaker 3 shenanigans. Stick around for more Ableton Live shenanigans.